Happy Thursday, friends. This is actually really Thursday's video. It's been a week. Look, guys, I just want to say I really do miss y'all. I miss just our face-to-face conversations, me trying to make y'all laugh. That was my goal half the time, was to make some of y'all laugh because you never smiled. Y'all making me laugh. Y'all irking my nerves. I really do miss y'all. We're almost a whole nother week done. But you are about to be middle schoolers, so make sure that you not only check Google Classroom every day, but check your email every day, because we're going to start sending you stuff about middle school. So exciting. All right, let's get into today's lessons. So we are moving on to the next learning target. I don't know what I was about to say. Learning target for this unit, which is I can classify two-dimensional figures in a hierarchy. So the first thing we need to know is, what is a hierarchy? So on your screen, I have an example of a hierarchy. And this is just using animals because we all know about animals. So if you look, a hierarchy at the very top, everything underneath that, so the mammals, the reptiles, and the birds, fall under the animal category. So then if we look over here under mammals, I have three mammals under that: a bear, a cat, and a dog. Well, all three of these are mammals, and all three of those are animals. So as we keep doing that pattern down, I just did it with dogs. I have two different types of dogs, the retrievers and the terriers. And then I have some types of retrievers, the Labrador Retriever, Golden Retriever, and then a type of terrier, Scottish Terrier. So as we go down a hierarchy, everything above it is that, everything below it fits into that category. Okay, so a Labrador Retriever is a retriever, it's a dog, it's a mammal, therefore it's an animal. Okay, same thing with the Scottish Terrier. A Scottish Terrier is a type of terrier, which is a type of dog, which is a type of mammal, which is a type of animal. So we're going to use this same process with quadrilaterals and our hierarchy this week. So we're going to focus on just quadrilaterals because you know there's a bunch of quadrilaterals that have different classifications to them and their attributes. So I'm going to take this and share it back with just me. Oh, stop share. I'll learn how to use this one day. Okay, so looking behind us is my quadrilateral hierarchy. So first thing first, let's talk about what some of these symbols are. So not the shapes, we already did shapes. Let's do the symbols. So looking over here, you'll notice, I have this up on one thing, so hopefully it doesn't fall on me. You'll notice that this line and this line only has one line that goes through each, and then these two go through these bottom two. Well, we know what shape is that. Yep, that's the kite. And we know that a kite has the adjacent sides are congruent. So therefore, if you see a shape and it has one line through each, that means these two sides are congruent. It has the same line through it. These two are congruent with each other, but they're not the same length as this. So for instance, if this is 3 and this is 3, this is probably maybe 5 and 5. So you want the number of lines going through it. Sometimes I know, like, as you get into higher math, you'll have like some of these, they'll have like 3 lines to show that it doesn't equal the other 2. Okay? So we know if it's just a straight line, that means it's congruent. But looking over here at my parallelogram, I don't have straight lines. I have arrows that go through it. And if you notice, this line and this line has the same 2 arrows, and then these two have the same 2 arrows. So if you see an arrow, that means it's parallel. So we know with the parallelogram that it has 2 pairs of parallel sides. So the opposite sides are parallel. So these 2 are parallel and these 2 are parallel. Okay? Then you'll look at the angles. So notice I have the same process. It's just we're showing angles. So opposite angles are congruent. So if it has one line through it, well, it's like a curve. This curve and this curve, these 2 angles are congruent, and we know congruent means that they're equal, they're the same. And then these 2, even though it has 2, these 2 are congruent with each other. Okay? And then the last thing on here is going to be, we all know this part, is where we make these little squares in the corner. What does it mean if we have squares in the corner? What do we know about the angles? It's right angle. Look at you. So we know that these have 4 right angles, and this one has 4 right angles. Okay, so now let's start breaking this down. Okay, so bear with me. Okay, this is a video. Stop it, rewind it, pause it as needed. And I'm going to give you a lot of cheat sheets for this that you really need to study. This is not something that you can really pick up on real quick. Unless you're good like that. Some of y'all might be good like that. But this is still something, even to this day, as I teach this, I have to go back and review myself. Okay, so let me move it over to where you can see this. Okay, so first things first, it is a hierarchy. Notice everything underneath it, so like this shape right here, is in this category, which in turn is in this category, which means it's a quadrilateral. So my overall category is quadrilaterals. When we get into the activity, you're going to see we have quadrilaterals, we're going to have polygons, and then we're going to have triangles, okay? But our focus is quadrilaterals. So the first thing you'll notice is that my quadrilateral is broken up into 3 sections, just like my animal hierarchy. I had mammals, birds, and reptiles. That order somehow. Okay, here I have a kite, a parallelogram, and then a trapezoid. Now, I want you to take just a second. Why are these 3, the ones in blue, in separate categories, even though all 3 of them are quadrilaterals? Exactly. They don't have the same attributes. Took the words right out of your mouth, didn't I? So here with the kite, we know that a kite has 8 adjacent sides are congruent. Okay? So adjacent sides are congruent, and there is no what? What do you notice that this does not have that these other 2 shapes have? Parallel sides. So a kite has no parallel sides. Now I want you right now to show me parallel lines with your arms. Yep, like this. Get back to the camera, like this, or like this. Do they ever meet? Nope. They keep going on and on forever and they never meet. So parallel. These are not parallel because this line and this line meet. Oh, as I already said. Sorry. All right, parallelogram. What do we know about a parallelogram? 2 sets of parallel sides. 2 sets of parallel sides. Hence the name parallelogram. Okay? A trapezoid, though, does a trapezoid have 2 sets of parallel lines? How many does it have? It only has 1 set. So a trapezoid has 1 set of parallel lines, or sides, let's say sides. 1 set of parallel sides. A parallelogram has 2 sets of parallel sides. Trapezoid 1, parallelogram 2, kite 0. Okay, say that again. Trapezoid, 1 set of parallel sides. Parallelogram, 2 sets of parallel sides. And then a kite, 0 parallel sides. Okay, now here underneath the parallelogram, I have 2 more shapes. I have a rectangle and a rhombus. So looking at these, what do you notice that is the same or that is different? Okay, so we know they have congruent sides because we're seeing the straight line through it. So looking at the rectangle, opposite sides are congruent. So this one only has 1 line and this has 1 line. So opposite sides are congruent, which means they all 4 don't equal. And all 4 sides are what type of angles? Right, I was about to say 4. Right angles, all 4 right angles. But if we look at the rhombus, all 4 sides are congruent and parallel. That's why they falls under the parallelogram. But what about the angles? Opposite angles are congruent. Okay, so we have 2 sets of parallel sides. These two, and these two, these two, and these two. Okay. Opposite angles are congruent and they're right angles. So the reason the rectangle falls under the parallelogram is that it has two sets of parallel sides. Okay? So then we have a square. Okay? So a square has two sets of parallel sides. All four sides are congruent and has four right angles. So it matches all the attributes that is needed for a square and all the attributes that are needed for a rhombus. Now, if it had opposite angles were congruent, then this would just be a rhombus. That's why a lot of times we say squares, rhombuses look like squares kind of tilted where the angles are. Okay? So, review. Bear with me. You still with me? You haven't stopped the video yet? Okay, cool. Kite. It started falling. A kite has two pairs of adjacent sides that are congruent. Okay? No parallel. A parallelogram, two sets of parallel sides. A trapezoid, one set of parallel sides. A rectangle has two sets of parallel sides. Opposite sides are congruent and four right angles. A rhombus, two sets of parallel sides. It's not four. All sides, well, there's four sides. All sides are congruent and opposite angles are congruent. And then a square, two sets of parallel sides, four right angles, and all sides are congruent. I know this is a lot. I know you probably like paused the video and was like, let me come back to this later. But we're gonna practice with this. This is one of those, just like with everything in math. Practice, practice, practice. So today's activity, we're gonna practice labeling these so that we can get it into our mind, especially that vocabulary: congruent, adjacent, parallel, right, opposite, okay? So now you can either rewatch the video of me messing up 100,000 times, or you can move on to the next video and today's assignments. If you have any questions, send me an email. Don't stress out. We're going to be on this for a couple more days, okay? So we got this. Y'all got this. It might seem a little tough at first. I'm being straight up honest with you, but we got this. Just remember the names, the numbers, parallel, congruent. I love y'all. I miss y'all.